Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Insight with your host Alamdar Khan. And yes, as you know, we provide all information with regards to the sports world to you guys from this chat, definitely from this program. But anyways, we'll definitely be giving you more information. What you can do is you can reach out to us on our social media handles, which is at the rate of Indus News Sports. That's basically both for Twitter and Instagram. But anyways, we'll move to the headlines first. Yes, from the world of PSL, Peshawar Zalmi will play against Quetta Gladiators. India versus England, the third test. Yes, India manages to crush England by 10 wickets in a rare two-day test win. New Zealand beats Australia by 4 runs on Thursday and takes the lead on the T20 International Series. And from the world of Six Nation Rugby, France's Six Nation clash is due but is postponed because COVID virus took over. We'll talk about that. And from the world of NBA, the Nets manages to definitely win against Magic. We'll surely talk about that. 129-92. All right, so those were the headlines, and yes, we definitely will be discussing the PSL Season 6 that's happening, but obviously with regards to the cricket world, the evolution of cricket, we have a very senior official who is the former chairman of PCB, Mr. Khalid Mahmood, on our show. Mr. Khalid, thank you for being on the show, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure, sir. Khalid Sahab, I would surely start the journey with regards to how things were for PCB back then, and now PCB is a complete different entity, and it has really helped the evolution of cricket, not only in Pakistan, but definitely all across the globe. Let's even talk about Pakistan Super League. You know, how do you see the evolution of PCB?
Well, you see, I belong to the old school of thought, so I would try to mince my words, but
Sure.
may not be able to do so. Reason being that there was a time when people used to look down upon on any format of cricket which was other than Test cricket.
Right.
And I recall my first guru in cricket, Mr. Abdul Hafiz Kardar, talking about Test cricket, describing it as a theatre, and talking about limited over game. That, mind you, at that time there were only the 50 and 60 over games. The
Right.
first World Cup started in 1975 onward.
Right.
And he used to describe that as a circus. So we were taught to love theatre and enjoy circus.
Right.
So this is my current position. I still like theatre, but I am very happy to see this cricket going on, and I actually enjoy it. And it's not a question of me enjoying it. Actually, it is the entire Pakistani cricket-loving population.
Right.
They are enjoying this 20 overs game. They are enjoying this activity not only in Pakistan, but all over the world.
True.
And your viewers, I'm sure, must be knowing that this kind of format in one form or the other is continuing in all the test-playing countries in the world, particularly India,
Right.
then Big Bash in Australia.
Right.
England have their Super League or T20 League.
Right.
And then South Africans also started this experiment, but they had to abandon it and then revert to the normal league cricket. So this is the most popular version of it these days.
Right.
So what can you do with the general people? They like circus, they want to watch circus, so they have to be provided this circus.
Right.
It has many advantages. There is no doubt about it, since you are talking about evolution of PCB.
Right.
So it is really helping not only PCB, this format is helping cricket boards all over the world. Look at the amount of money the making because of IPL.
Right.
Big Bash, Australia is making lot of money, and so is Pakistan. I'm not really well versed with the actual figures,
Right,
but
sir.
they are talking in terms of billions of rupees to get it.
True,
So
sir.
this format is providing the required resources to the cricket board, particularly PCB, and it is generating interest amongst the public. They are happy to see this format
Right, sir.
going on, and particularly the people who are able to come to the ground. And as you have seen earlier, it was 20% crowd allowed capacity-wise, and now they are increasing the number.
Right.
So people are allowing it. It is providing the required funding for the cricket board. But I would be happier. Let me be honest with you.
Right, sir.
This evolution is absolutely remarkable. Never PCB had that kind of a money in our time. I
Right,
was
sir.
chairman of Pakistan cricket last century, 98, 99.
Right.
And we were always groping in all directions, trying to find some money. But because of this international events, because of ICC having taken over the management of some of these tournaments, they are able to sell the cricket rights, television rights, and all those things very, very handsomely. And as a result of that, all the cricket boards are getting their shares. So they are getting their money from there. And
Right.
then because of this T20 pop which is going on, they are getting their money.
Right,
But
sir.
I would suggest and I'd be happy if this money is channelized into promoting cricket at the grassroots level. Then I would really call it a good evolution and good development in cricket. If the cricket is promoted at the grassroots level, they are provided the various clubs in the country, in different regions of the country.
Right.
They are provided the much needed funding to promote their game, to carry on their activities. If that happens, then I will certainly give full marks to this kind of format which is going
Right.
on currently. But unfortunately, if it is not so, I repeat, then perhaps it would be only good fun, but hardly any promotion of cricket.
Right. So we talk about the worth, as you mentioned, the figures. So I just thought I'll look into the figures as well. Pakistan's PCB is currently the net worth online that is here is approximately $55 million, which means definitely, as you said, back then in your times, we did not have that influx, the amount of money that you could put in to the teams as well, but obviously adding more commercial perspective to it. And like you said, the format that we're talking about, the T20 has actually, and the league has actually changed the entire picture and changed literally the PCB itself.
Yes, the picture has changed, but that has to be seen whether it has been changed for the better or the worse.
Right.
Let me suggest that it has increased the public interest in the game, undoubtedly. It has increased the resources of the different cricket entities in the world. But as far as the test cricket is concerned, I think it's being compromised. I recall some of the great test teams which are produced, which we saw in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Remember the great West, at least 4 or 5 fast bowlers playing in the team, like starting with Wesley Hall and Gilchrist and going on to bowlers like Malcolm Marshall and
Right,
so
sir.
many others.
Right,
And
sir.
they were a terror into the opposition side. Now, where are those bowlers gone?
True.
And similarly, they had some great players, batsmen. If you recall, amongst the opening players, they had Courtney Walsh and Gordon Greenidge. They
Right,
were
sir.
followed by batsmen like Clive Richards, the great Richards, and so many others. But
Right.
now we don't see batsmen of that caliber. We don't see the bowlers of that caliber. Similarly, in Pakistan,
Right.
we are producing some good bowlers, no doubt about it. We are producing batsmen also. But do we have the batsmen like Khalif Muhammad with lot of temperament, lot of finesse, lot of expertise, and all varieties of shots?
Right.
Yes, I think Test cricket is definitely being compromised, and therefore it is a point where the cricket boards all over the world, while they are promoting this kind of a format and while they are making money because of that,
Right.
while the public is being drawn to the stadium, they don't come to watch Test cricket, but they have to they take a moment, they take a break and think about the fact whether it is being done at the cost of Test cricket or not.
Right. Sir, let's talk about, for instance, if we look at the Pakistan Super League, and we talk about, for instance, today's match that's going to happen, Peshawar Zalmi versus Quetta Gladiators. Let's take it that way. Not only this particular match, but the matches that we've seen so far, there were some technical issues that the team was going through, and I think after Wasim Khan taking over as the chief selector, things have slightly been improving because we need consistency with our team players. T20s or test matches would actually allow our players to enhance and be more in their solid form rather than having a nepotism perspective in the game, because when that happens, that definitely kills the essence of the game.
Well, I quite agree with you. Some improvement is visible, and these formats are giving us some good players also.
Right.
But at the same time, look at some of the disadvantages also. Just today, or maybe yesterday, I came across one social media message from our former great bowler, Sarfraz Nawaz,
Right.
who's alleging that some match fixing is also going on in these matches. This
Right.
is a very terrible idea. If this is going on, I think whether it is Wasim Khan, the new chief executive officer, or anybody else in the cricket board,
Right.
whosoever is responsible for these things, I think they must take notice of all these things. They must make sure that this format is kept absolutely free of all fixing or any such negativities which are attributed to this kind of format,
Right.
and so that the interest of the public, which has been generated, has to be retained.
Absolutely, sir. That's the real true wisdom that we really wanted to hear from you with regards to what are the pros and the basic cons that could maybe help PCB evolve more, not only as an entity, but let the team, let the boys evolve as well.
Yes, I mentioned that it is certainly helping all the cricket boards in the world,
Right.
this kind of format. Number one, it is generating, increasing the public interest in the game. This
Right.
is very important. And number two, it is bringing the crowds to the stadiums. Don't talk about England. England they are cricket crazy country, and they
Right.
would like to watch test cricket, whatever the circumstances. And similar is the situation in our neighboring country, India,
Right.
Australia. These three countries, people do come to watch test cricket. But other than that, in Pakistan, if test cricket is being played, not many people will come to the stadium. So
Right.
this format has certainly not only increased the public interest, but has brought crowds to the stadiums. And
True.
I was very happy to read in some of the newspapers
Right.
that when the online sale of tickets started, those were sold in no time.
Right.
So this is a very positive message for the game. And then funds are being generated. And lastly, it's very important
Absolutely.
that as a new player, the new talent which is being thrown up, which is being brought on the scene because of this particular format,
Absolutely.
and that is available to the public. So
Right, sir.
it's up to them. They handle them. It is unfortunate if those youngsters who emerge on the scene after playing this T20 format,
Right,
if
sir.
they are not properly groomed, if they are not properly grilled, if they are not properly trained to handle other formats of cricket, then it would be a huge misfortune on the part of the cricket board and also the rest of the public.
Right, sir. Sir, thank you so very much for your time and your wisdom with regards to PCB and the world of cricket. It was really, really nice having you on the show, sir.
Thank you.
So, yes, that was the wisdom that we really wanted to hear, and I'm sure the viewers wanted to hear. Anyways, we have more news coming up, but definitely we'll take a short break. See you guys after the break. Yes, welcome back after the break. And yes, we were definitely discussing the world of cricket. And not to forget that we still need to talk about an interesting journey of India actually beating England on, a third test, which is by 10 wickets. And it's a rare two-day event that actually took place. And, we'll still further be discussing not only that, we'll also be discussing New Zealand versus Australia. But to discuss more of this, we have Adam Bell all the way from New Zealand. Adam, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So Adam, we'll start with obviously India versus England. When it started, when the test started, obviously we thought that England would definitely rule out and ensure their victory, but then they came to a point of getting all out on a very low total, and then India obviously getting out on a low total. But at the end, India just took over, charged, and there they are. They took the victory. How do you see that? Because we generally don't see this amount of scores in Test cricket.
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible Test match, wasn't it? Like, you think about the scores that both teams put together in their first innings. I mean, look, within day one of the Test match, you had two innings basically over. So it was an incredible Test match. I guess from England's perspective, getting bowled out for 112 so early on put so much pressure on them, and when you bowled out for such a little score, it's pretty hard to get back into the Test match. I saw an interview with Zach Crawley saying that if they could have got India out early on day two, they could have put a big score on their second innings and put some pressure on India come the fourth innings. But look, in their second innings, they couldn't get any runs either. So it was really just the spinners just completely dominated the Test match. Jack Leach again for England tried his best, but obviously it was no match for Akshar Patel from India, who got a 10-wicket bang. So it was an incredible Test match. It meant to be over in just a few days. Like we thought, I guess, after the second Test that England would have to improve themselves against quality spin. Ashwin performed well in that second Test, and they couldn't handle him. But this time around, they were even worse against India. And incredible scenes. I guess the positive for England was performance again of Jack Leach getting some wickets, and also Joe Root getting 5 for 8 with the ball. But their batting just didn't perform, did it? And that really set the tone early on in that Test match.
Right. And talking about Akshar Patel himself, it's like a dream come true for someone, doing his debutante and, coming up to a point of, literally for the past 2 matches, he's basically for the past 2 tests to be precise, he's taken 18 wickets and, 3 5 wickets also. And it's 11 for 70 was his best test figure so far, and which is the test day and night. How do you see? I mean, this would definitely give him that morale booster, but it could definitely come to a point of us concluding that the pitch was basically a bowler's pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Spinner's paradise, and as I mentioned, Joe Root, who's a part-time spinner, got 5 wickets for England. Jack Leach again got wickets, and Akshar Patel got 11 wickets in the match. So all indications that it's a spinning pitch. The ball started to spin early on day one. I was surprised that England only went in with the one specialist spinner. However, looking at Joe Root's 5 for. That wasn't the problem. The spin bowling for England wasn't the issue. It was the fact that their batting again couldn't handle the Indian spin bowlers. But what a start to a Test career from Akshar Patel, who we have to remember came into this Test match basically because Ravi Jadeja has been ruled out of the series. So what a start.
Right.
To this guy who's had experience.
Blessings in disguise is the right word. Like you just mentioned that he luckily just got in on board, and he just came and he's proving his worth as literally a super bowler. And this is just the start. We don't know what's coming next.
Yeah, well, exactly. I guess you got to look at the Indian side, and what do they do next? They've got Ravi Jadeja, who's a world class all rounder, and now they've got Akshar Patel, who's taken 11 wickets in that second Test match and had a great debut Test. But it's just incredible riches that India do have, especially in the spin department at home. So, they've got some quality players that are waiting in the wings, and at the moment it just seems that they've got depth in all areas of their game.
Yeah, looking back on how India is currently trying to prove their worth and their mettle as one of the solid teams when it comes to Test matches, because if you remember, we still recall that time when India faced Australia, all out for 36, all out, the situation that, and then making a comeback and winning that series. And then now this, and coming up with different miracles from the bowling side, not only bowling side, but definitely, as we discussed, that it was purely bowling pitch, so it was technically very hard. for someone like Joe Root, talk about Joe Root. I mean, I think he's one of the best batsmen out there right now. But unfortunately, when it comes to the bowlers taking the lead, this is the amount of total that you can get in terms of test matches.
Absolutely. Joe Root before the series against India, he's been in fantastic form with his hundreds in Sri Lanka, got the 100 in the first test, and it seems like at the moment the England batting lineup really relies on him, and if he doesn't perform, no one else at the moment is really standing up and putting on that big score. Johnny Bairstow was brought back into this test match for England. I mean, he didn't perform. They just haven't had enough support around Joe Root. And I guess it's combating, extremely good spin bowling that they're really struggling against. And as I said earlier, if you score 112 in their first innings of a test match, it's very difficult to get back into the match. And I think from that moment on, Rohit Sharma, got 60 odd in India's first innings. Again, Rohit Sharma getting India off to a great start. And from that point onwards, it was always going to be India's test to win. So, look, I think, going forward, looking ahead to the fourth test match, I think England's batting lineup really needs to perform and really try to find a way to combat these quality Indian spinners on home conditions. And also a shout out to Ravi Ashwin, who got his 400th test wicket. Fantastic performance by a guy who's one of the world's best all-rounders at the moment. Scored that 100 in the last test match and is taking wickets at will in India, just contributing in all aspects of the game for India.
Right. Anyways, that was major discussion with regards to the test side of obviously India's victory over England. But let's switch over to the T20 side of the tour. That's New Zealand versus Australia. Australia is there in New Zealand, and New Zealand is absolutely being that phenomenal team that has proved their worth as like literally the top-notch team for now with regards to the T20. They're literally on fire. So how do you see those two victories that New Zealand took against Australia?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Fantastic victories by the Black Caps in the first T20 matches. I think this Black Caps side have really shown a lot of depth. Looking at both games, two different scenarios. The first game, New Zealand lost early wickets. Devon Conway was able to kind of adapt to the situation and then played an explosive innings and was left 99 not out. In the second T20 match, had Martin Guptill, who got the Black Caps off to a great start. They had a bit of a base to work with. And in both those matches, Jimmy Neesham coming down in the finisher role was able to capitalise by scoring some quick runs and hitting the ball over the rope. So I think from a New Zealand perspective, we've seen two different scenarios, and the New Zealand batting lineup being able to adapt and being able to put on some good scores on the board. And from the Black Caps perspective as well, the bowling lineup has again produced. Tim Southee and Trent Boult have been able to get swing early on where the Australian bowlers couldn't. And then the spin bowlers in the series so far have been exceptional. Soda getting a 4-wicket bag in the first T20, and Mitchell Santner with his flight and his variations, being able to hold the Australian middle order and rip out those key power hitting batsmen. And again, he getting a 4-wicket bag as well. So I think at the moment you've got a Black Caps team that really know their roles. I think having someone like Luke Ronke coming to the coaching team has been a masterstroke. He's a guy that's won PSL titles as a player and as a co-coach with Islamabad United in the PSL. So, he's a guy with so much experience. He's got a great T20 record all around the world in different leagues. So, I think he's had a great impact on this team.
To be honest, when we look at the performance of New Zealand, we won't really say that Australia didn't do their part well in the second T20 that we look at it, because 219 for 7 is a huge total when it comes to T20 matches. And Australia did struggle. They did try. They put in their best, but they came up to a point of they got literally this close to winning or just at least dying for the whole match and the whole situation. But unfortunately, they just couldn't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just losing early wickets wasn't the best thing for Australia, especially when you're chasing a huge total, as you just said, of 220.
Right.
And I thought that Marcus Stoinis played a fantastic innings. There was one stage where Australia needed 13 runs and over. And at that point, a lot of teams would have thought, no, we don't have a chance of winning this. But look, he played a fantastic knock, and him and Sam's down the order.
Right.
Some of the great power hitting that display was absolutely incredible. And, you know, Marcus Thorne is well known to New Zealand fans after his 140 against us at Eden Park, you know, a few years back, which was one of the all-time great one-day innings. But, you know, again, you know, he just showed his brute strength and power. I don't think the New Zealand bowlers probably quite got their lengths right at the end against him. You know, if you miss, he's one of those guys that will put you out of the park. But I think from the Australian perspective, again, Glenn Maxwell wasn't able to perform to his best. Up front, again, Aaron Finch is struggling at the moment. Josh Philippi was only early on in his T20 career, in his international career. He played a good hand in the second T20 match. But look, they didn't get off to a good enough start. And I think when you're chasing such a big total, you know, you need your top order to fire. But look, you've got to say full credit to Marcus Thorne for keeping them in that game and going even up into that last over. You know, they needed 15 runs on the last over. All
we currently can look into, Adam, is definitely the upcoming matches. With Australia, of course, we hope for the best. I'm looking forward for the interesting game that's going to link themselves up. Thank you very much for being a part of the show and giving your insight with regards to the world of cricket. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks very much for having me, guys.
Pleasure. So that was Adam. We were definitely discussing the world of cricket, and not to forget, we'll definitely want to jump into the other parts of the world with regards to sports. Yes, let's talk about Six Nations Rugby. Yes, there was a match, France versus Scotland, that was actually planned. But unfortunately, the COVID-19 situation is still out there, and teams are suffering. There are sports people who are actually going through their quarantine stuff. But unfortunately, the French captain, Charles Oliven, actually turned out is one of the 11 players who have actually tested positive for COVID-19, due to which the entire match is now postponed. So the point is, these situations are literally arising, and we're still looking for that point of return for all the athletes and individuals, because the COVID-19 scenario is still out there. We just hope and wish them the very best of recovery, and once they recover and they're through to that period, hopefully all will be well. Anyways, that was from the world of rugby. We'll jump over to a quick update with regards to NBA. Yes, with regards to the NBA, it was Nets versus Magic. Yes, Brooklyn Nets actually defeated Orlando Magic 129-92 on Thursday. Kevin Durant, Jeff Green, and Spencer actually couldn't play because of their injury. But yet again, Brooklyn definitely has their duo, which is Kyrie Irving and James Harden. And they both managed to score 41 points combined. So that's the interesting growth with regards to their aspect. But anyways, that was from the world of NBA as well. We'll surely be updating you with regards to other sports from out there. But anyways, you can reach us on our social media handle, which is @IndusNewsSports. Till then, take good care of yourself, and bye-bye.